Welcome to Professor Burkett's lesson on who, whom, and that, distinguishing usages of the personal pronouns who and whom, and the impersonal pronoun that. This is a lesson in the art of grammar. The mysterious case of whom. Why does Ernest Hemingway write whom for his book title, For Whom the Bell Tolls? Why does the Apostle John write whom when referring to the Holy Spirit in the following verse? But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you. The mysterious case of whom. Well, it's not so mysterious if you know the case of the matter. Choosing who versus whom is a matter of grammatical case. As a reminder, English has three cases: the subjective case, objective case, and possessive case. The subjective case is also called nominative case in language studies. The objective case is also called the accusative or dative case in language studies, and the possessive case is sometimes called the genitive case. Well, the subjective case takes who. The subject of a clause takes the subjective case, and a pronoun takes the subjective case when it acts as the subject or subject complement of any clause. Who is the man behind the curtain? Well, who is the subject of the sentence here. So the subjective case, we use who. He is the man behind the curtain. Whoever is behind the curtain has blue suede shoes. Well, in all three cases here in yellow, we write our pronouns in the subjective case. Well, the objective case takes whom. The object of a verb or object of preposition takes the objective case. A pronoun takes the objective case when it acts as the object of a verb, object of a preposition, and object of an infinitive. Some examples. To whom shall we give the honor? Well, whom here is the object of the preposition to. We should give the honor to him. And him is in the objective case, and it's the object of to. Whomever they give the honor should be worthy. And whomever here is the object of the verb give. And so these are some examples of the objective case with whom. Now, to round out the three cases in English, there is the possessive case, and whose is in the possessive case. Nouns and pronouns take the possessive case when they indicate ownership. Whose car is stranded on the roadside? Their car ran out of gas. A rule of grammar is this: preposition takes object. And we'll take a look at a brief drama about Conan the Barbarian, who resides and acts in the pre-diluvian or pre-flood world. That is the world of Noah. Well, the challenger says, "It is between you and I, Conan." And Conan the grammarian responds, "Between you and whom? Between you and me, vulgar peasant. Preposition takes object." So we shouldn't be vulgar peasants, but can agree with Conan the grammarian. Well, the object of the preposition takes the objective case, or whom. Objects of preposition take the objective case, so use the objective case pronouns after prepositions. And here are some examples. Of whom, by whom, and for whom comes governance in a democracy. Well, as we know, democracy, as stated by Abraham Lincoln, is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yet laws come through whomever one elects to office. And so whomever is the object of the preposition through. And Jesus announces, the Son gives life to whomever he wishes, and whomever is the object of the preposition to. Well, the case of noun clauses. When a preposition introduces a noun clause, however, the object of the preposition is not the pronoun, but the entire dependent noun clause. So this is an important but tricky qualification. An interrogative personal pronoun, who or whom, or whoever or whomever, introducing the noun clause takes the case required in its noun clause. Here are some examples. The teacher gave help to whoever needed it. Well, not whomever needed it, because the preposition introduces not just a pronoun, but the entire noun clause. And the noun clause starts with whoever needed it. The officer pointed to the radar detector at whoever drove by. And the object of the preposition at is a noun clause that starts with whoever. The walker smiled at whomever he passed. And the object of the preposition at is the entire noun clause, whomever he passed. It just so happens that whomever is the object of the verb passed. He passed them or whomever. Okay, so the case of noun clauses is an important qualification in all of this. Well, the case of infinitives is always whom. Infinitive phrases always take whom, the objective case, regardless of whether the pronoun is technically the subject or object of the infinitive. So use whom for subjects and objects of infinitives. Here's some example. Whom to believe is always an important decision. Well, here, whom functions in the subjective case, but since it's the object of the infinitive, we write it as whom. They took time researching whom to hire. Well, whom is the object of the infinitive, and we write it as whom. Let's review personal and impersonal pronouns. Personal interrogative pronouns, who and whom, and whoever and whomever, are used in questions and noun clauses. For example, who was elected? Whom did they elect? Whoever did it will have to answer for it. So personal relative pronouns are used in relative clauses and prepositional phrases. Find out who elected him, or find out by whom he was elected. Was it the manager that hired him? No, we should write, was it the manager who hired him? Well, impersonal relative pronouns are used for relative clauses. Examples, it was their pet dog that howled all night. Okay, so I use that for dog and not who. Again, they were amused by the curious monkey, which was equally entertained. And so we use which for monkey rather than who. In summary, who is a subject? If a pronoun performs the action or is the clause's grammatical subject or subject complement, use the subjective case, who. Who replaces he, she, or they. Whom is an object. If a pronoun receives the action or is a clause's or preposition's object, use the objective case, whom. Whom replaces him, her, or them. Note that the suffix im, as in him, them, and whom, signals the objective case in all Germanic languages. So a good tip to determine whether to use who or whom in a question, substitute personal pronouns. First, rewrite the question or clause as a simple statement, identify the subject, verb, and object, and then substitute personal pronouns as required, as it makes sense. He, she, or they for who or him, or them for whom. As an example, who wrote the book? Well, we can substitute and rewrite the sentence and substitute he wrote it. He wrote the book. Or whom do you support? Okay, to determine whether to use who or whom in this sentence, you can rewrite the sentence. I support him. And him is the objective case, and so the correct personal pronoun is whom in the question. Quiz time. Who or whom? Do we write who or whom wrote the letter? Who or whom do you bank with? Who or whom do you love? Well, we write who wrote the letter. That's correct. Whom do you bank with, or with whom do you bank? and whom is the object of the preposition with, and whom do you love? You might rewrite this question, I love him, or I love them. And so him or them are the object of the verb, and so whom is correct. Whom is the object of the verb love. Well, who or whom? Which headline should the sports editor write? Who should the Phillies keep, or whom should the Phillies keep? Well, apparently the sports editor made a mistake and wrote who should the Phillies keep, but it would be correct, grammatically correct, to write whom should the Phillies keep. We could rewrite the question as a sentence, a regular sentence, and write the Phillies should keep them. And since them is the object of the verb, we should translate that back to the question as whom should the Phillies keep. Or who or whom? Mr. Ogre grimaced at whoever or whomever made a noise, but his wife smiled at whoever or whomever she greeted, which is, well, here are the correct personal pronouns. Mr. Ogre grimaced at whoever made a noise. Okay, and the object of the preposition at is the entire noun clause, and so whoever functions in the subject position of the noun clause, whoever made a noise. But his wife Wilma smiled at whomever she greeted. And the preposition at introduces an entire noun clause here that starts with whomever she greeted, but here whomever is the object of the verb greeted. She greeted whomever she saw. Well, who or whom? The Salvation Army gives food and shelter to whoever or whomever is in need. Given limited time, teachers face the daunting task of deciding who or whom to help. Which is correct? Well, these two sentences, as the last two sentences in the quiz, present two tricky situations. First, the Salvation Army gives food and shelter to whoever is in need. Well, whoever is correct because the preposition to introduces a noun clause which begins with whoever. And so the preposition introduces not just a personal pronoun, but it introduces an entire noun clause that begins with whoever. So I hope that makes sense. If not, you'll have to go back to the book and review the rules. Second, given limited time, teachers face a daunting task of deciding whom to help. Now the key here is noticing the infinitive at the end, to help. And so whenever you have an object or subject of an infinitive, you write it as whom. And so deciding whom to help is correct here. And remember, whenever there is an infinitive, the personal pronoun, whether it's the subjective case or objective case, you always write it as the objective case whom. Well, in sum, remember the case of the matter. Subjective case, personal pronoun who, objective case, personal pronoun whom, and impersonal pronoun that or which. So thank you for your attention. I hope you do your best, your very best, on the grammar quiz, and I will see you in class.